going to briefly discuss it because this allows you to defend the faith, and that's important. Number one, so MAPS is manuscripts, archaeology, prophecy, and statistics. Manuscripts. What are manuscripts? Manuscripts are written records before the printing press. So you could have papyrus, lambskin, you could use clay tablets, different ways to print the scriptures because they didn't have the printing press. And we have thousands of manuscripts, and that's going to lead us into the translation issue in a moment. But manuscripts is a very powerful argument. In my mind, with my research, it's one of my favorite. Because we have manuscripts going back to the 1st century. The John Rylands manuscript, like around AD 130, so it's amazing. Archaeology. Doug, you raised that book. Archaeology is a friend to the biblical text and the biblical truth. This is a book that Doug gave to me. It took me a couple hours to read through it, and it's great on cities, just different cities that evidence of the Bible's evidence of the Bible's history. And you have all kinds of books on archaeology, by the way. It's a fascinating topic, but it has been a very good friend to the biblical truth. 3, prophecy. Prophecy is, to me, the most powerful argument as a mathematician because prophecy is something that occurred before. It's a predicted event in the past, and it comes through with 100% accuracy. For example, we have major prophecies of Jesus Christ. Born in Bethlehem, crucified, basically pierced. The list goes on. And it's a very powerful argument because no other holy book, so-called, has prophecy. So that makes it a very powerful argument. And I'm going to wrap it up with statistics, and I'll give an example of 8 prophecies. And I mentioned a few of them. I'm not going to go over all of them, but just the probability of one man fulfilling 8 prophecies is 10 to the 17th power. Now, I don't think anybody has a clue how to make an analysis of that because that is a huge number. I was talking to Doug earlier, a trillion seconds, which is 10 to the 9th, or 10 to the 12th, my mistake. That's 32,000 years in seconds, okay? But if we want to go 10 to the 17th power, let's take the state of Texas, let's take silver dollars, and let's paint one red. Now let's cover the complete state of Texas 3 feet high in silver dollars. And then we'll have someone blindfolded, a man or a woman, it's fine with me, and they can walk through the state of Texas, pick one out, and that's the probability of 10 to the 17th power. So if you want to believe that the Bible is not authoritative, that argument is incredibly compelling. So let's continue now with back to the translations. All right, so translations. First of all Bibles translated from the Old Testament Hebrew and the New Testament Greek are translations. So in essence, a translation is taking the original and writing it into the English or the French or the Spanish. So that's really what it is. So basically in a nutshell, I can say this. All Bibles translate, I can say this, you can say all translations are versions, but not all versions are translations. Now, to wrap it up, I'm going to go through, I'm going to wrap up one other thing. Let's talk about the New World Translation. That's the Jehovah Witnesses, the Abomination Bible.
Amen.
Basically it says it's not a translation. I'll give an example. In John 1:1, in the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was
God.
The New World Translation puts a God. But the problem is there's no indefinite article in the Greek. So first of all, that's incorrect translation. Worse, in Colossians 1:16-17, it talks about Christ. All things were created by him, all things. The New World Translation, in brackets, puts the word other. Well, that's not in the Greek. And we have a Greek word for other. All you have to do is go to Acts chapter 4, verse 12. There is no other name in heaven by which you must be saved. So the word other is there, but they put it in a place that clearly does not belong. And that's just one of 2 examples, but we could go further. So to wrap this up, I think I'm doing good with time. I can give it pressure here. Deep breath. 5, I'm going to go over versions, and I want to explain some of the versions that I recommend. And there's different types of versions. For example, I'm going to give you the most popular. Okay, NIV is probably the most popular version out there, and that basically is kind of like a paraphrase, but it's actually somewhat accurate. It's a 7th, 8th grade level of reading ability, so it's a good read. It wouldn't be my study Bible, but it's a good Bible if you want to just read some of his history. The next one is us, the New King James and the King James Version. Those are both word-for-word translations, so they're a little more difficult to read. For example, the King James is the 12th grade level, and the New King James is the 7th grade level, so they simplified it. The only difference is that the King James is Old English, okay? Some of those words are archaic. The New King James try to change some of that, and so that's a good version. That's what we read. My favorite version is the New American Standard. This is a word for word. I feel it's a very literal translation, and it's 11th grade level of reading. There's other versions. The English Standard Version is very good. And the last one, I guarantee some people might have, is the New Living Translation, and that's incredibly readable. You know, basically a 6th grade level, but I wouldn't recommend that as your study Bible. If you're just using it as a source for history, fine. Do not use that for a study Bible. If you're going to use a study Bible, I'm hoping you look at the King James, New King James, New American Standard, or the ESV. But hopefully that answers your questions. And come back for more. You'll come back now.